Okay, well, good morning. Sorry for the delay. Um, Welcome to G Drive Sharing. Give me a moment. I'm going to shut that door. So, where we left off yesterday, we were discussing some things with, we very briefly previewed some of the sharing options. And our goal today in our workshop is not only to very quickly just sort of refresh our brains, identify some very common G Suite items. It sounds like some of the conversations we've already been having, you're worried about things with docs and slides and whatnot. So we'll take a very, very quick look at those. But then after that, we're going to jump right into some basic share settings versus some advanced share settings. We will take a look at what's a very quick way in which you can share things out, and then especially with the advanced, getting into more of those owner settings. Through the owner settings, there's actually a lot of options, a lot more than perhaps you're familiar with. We'll take a look at link sharing via email and Blackboard as well for your Blackboard courses. And then toward the end of the presentation, there's actually a practice moment where you can use these lovely desktops in here and create very quickly a document, and we'll just have you do a couple of different share things with either Peter or myself, just so that we can put it into practice and we can help you troubleshoot from there. And we'll culminate with previewing Google File Stream, something that again can hopefully make really maximize your usage, not only of all of your documents and the things that you keep on your own desktop or your own laptop, but also what you're keeping in Drive at the same time, sort of syncing them together, basically. So first thing, as I said, common G Suite items, as you already are familiar with, you've got Google Docs, you've got Google Slides. As far as their counterparts via Microsoft, would be synonyms for Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. Something to keep in mind, where in my experience, where a Microsoft Word document usually converts to a Google Doc very well, not everything will convert from a PowerPoint over to a Google Slide. An example would be if you've recorded audio overlays on certain slides in your PowerPoint, that audio does not come over to the Google Slide when you store it as a Google Slide. If you store it as a PowerPoint, even then it will not come over into the G Drive. Think of it as the pathway is sort of incomplete. They're not communicating very well. So it's not a perfect conversion when you convert, but it's darn near it. I'll say that. In Google Sheets, this is synonymous with Excel. I would say, again, in my experience, almost everything you can do in Excel document, you can do in Google Sheets. There may be a few limitations, but for the most part, it's there's a lot going on there. And then forms, I can't think of any Microsoft product that's, its equivalent. I see this most commonly with surveys, but you certainly can use this to create quizzes, tests, anything along those lines. There are grading options with it, point assignment options, and there's some personalization that can be done with it as well. The most common, the default color is purple, but you can change the background, change the layout, things of that nature as well. So, leaving this idea for just a moment, from any of these very common G Suite products, one of the things you may want to consider is making a copy. And purpose for this is, let's say that you are collaborating on a document with someone, but you need a copy that only you have ownership over. As long as the owner settings allow you to make a copy, and that's exactly what it would do. You would either, while hovering over the item from your drive, right-click, scroll down, make a copy, or if you're actually in the item that has been shared with you, File, scroll down, make a copy. Either way will get you there. And by making this copy, it literally will be a duplication of the title as well. Except the only difference is it'll say copy of, and then the name of the document. If this is something that perhaps you need to take from one class and transition to another. You know, section 101, and now I need one for section 102. It's very simple to make a copy, and you just want them separated for the various sections in your Blackboard courses. As you can see, a couple side notes here. This will work with docs, slides, and sheets, but you'll actually need to use the options menu for Google Forms, which I'll show you that in just a moment. And of course, this is useful when you need a version to which you have view-only rights. If you have view-only rights, you cannot edit that document, whatever that is. But maybe you need it to be editable. Make a copy. Once you make a copy, you are the only owner. You would have to reshare it out in order to bring new people in or bring the same people in. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm gonna just demo from Forms real quick. Here's your 3 options dot, and from here is where you would find make a copy. Versus in a Google Doc, for example, Google Sheet, for example, file, make a copy. So pretty simple to find these. Any questions so far? All right. Now, share settings, and especially your settings as the owner. You control access, as we were discussing. The access of those who can edit, those who can comment, those who can view. And you also can set a time limit on that access. Now that time limit, even if you've given somebody rights to edit, the only way the time limit will work is through comment only and view only. So if they need to be an editor and actually make direct changes to the document, but you only want to allow them 30 days to do it, you are and you don't have options to keep it as edit. It'll even show you the prompt. Time limitations change. They automatically change the contributor to comment only and view only rights, which would put it on you to actually take their comments and now add them in or remove things, whatever the edits are calling for. You essentially would have that level of control, which in some respects is very nice. They would gain suggesting rights, which we will also talk about a little bit. And suggesting, instead of making a comment off to the side in the margin, so to speak, suggesting is they're actually inline text suggesting edits that should be made by actually typing in the change or highlighting something that would need to be deleted if something needed to be removed. So I'll demonstrate that here in a little bit as well. Actually, I'll demonstrate that through our basic here in just a moment. Basic share settings. I used a document here for my screenshot, but these share settings again would be docs, slides, sheets. It's a little bit different with forms, so I'll demo that in a moment. But either if you're in the document, in the upper right-hand corner of the document, you've got that blue button that says share. And once it's an original creation or you've made a copy, you'll notice if you just let it hover there for a moment, it says private to only me. Everything you create is only yours until you share it. Okay, this is the default unless you unless you create an item in a shared folder. If you create an item in a shared folder, it will automatically be shared with everybody that has access to that folder. If you create it in your own drive, it is private, and you can share it however you like from there. Once you click that button, and again, we're just looking at basic share settings, obviously, you've got the option to now type in email addresses. And you notice I put Peter in there so we can type in however many collaborators we need to, and they'll populate them in there. We can choose their rights from the drop-down right alongside, that's step 3 there, right alongside the names of the people that are now collaborators. And by choosing these rights, we can either edit, comment, or view. And of course, you're establishing that for everyone you've typed in the share settings, okay? And I do usually recommend that you make sure that this box that says notify people is checkmarked. They will not magically know that they've been added to a document to share unless they are notified. And it sends them an email saying this document has been shared with you, by so-and-so, and here's the title of the document and so on. So it is optional to add a note. Again, this is something that I usually do, add a note, especially if you have a deadline. I've given you access as a commenter for X amount of time. I need you to comment by November 1st. It's usually a nice little just sort of addition. And again, this will work with Docs, Slides, Sheets, but you'll need to use the send button in Google Forms. So I'm going to take a step away from this for a moment. I'm going to start with, yeah.
If you want to share it with somebody, is it only somebody who has a Damon email address? Or like if I'm working with somebody off campus that maybe has a different email address, is that
Right.
possible?
It is possible. You'll get a warning that says you are about to share this with somebody outside of the organization. And are you sure you want to do that? And then that prompt will, no, I do not want to, or yes, I do. You will not get that warning, anybody that has a Damon email address. Great question. So just a quick, we'll go to Forms and I'll backtrack to Docs again to demonstrate this. In Forms, if you're looking to share, what you'll really do is click Send and then add collaborators in the lower left-hand corner. It's hyperlinked in blue. By adding collaborators, now I have the option to type in those names down here, what sort of access they have, whether it's editing or, let me scroll down, whether it's editing or view only and so on. If I need to change somebody at some point, you can see Deborah here has view only rights. I could change ownership. You can do this with all Google products. You can stop being the owner and change ownership, or can edit. Right now, again, they have view only rights. And of course, at the end, we hit send. I can prevent editors from changing access and adding new people, as we discussed yesterday. So you can certainly make sure it stays only within the group that is part of this. And with something like Docs or Forms, let me see if I have a doc available real quick. Sure, we can go to this one. This was my personal little ultra weak cheat sheet that I gave myself to be able to know what was going on with pre-semester procedures and whatnot. When we type in, or when we use a doc, of course, I can also disable options to download, print, and copy. This is very useful, as we were mentioned yesterday, about concerns with students downloading certain things, whether it be videos or whatever that's in your drive. So any questions about share settings so far? Okay. I am going to go ahead and while we're here, I'll stay in the document and I'm going to jump into a little bit more of the advanced settings. So keeping that in mind, another route, by the way, to share, we can still always go through File and, oh, I'm sorry, that's from Drive, excuse me. From Drive, we can always right-click Share. So you don't necessarily have to open up the document, but right-click Share, and you'll get a lot of the same options. So here again, we're at our very basic share settings. I'm going to click Advanced. By clicking Advanced, it opens up all of these options. First thing I'm going to start with is, it is private only to me. If I click on Change, and I'm going to backtrack for a moment, so you notice right above my name, me is the owner. If I click on Change, here are my options. We have public on the web, and this, and what's nice is Google even provides you a little synopsis of what that means. Anyone on the internet can find and access. There's no sign-in required. They do not have to have any sort of Gmail account. This is as wide open as it gets. Anyone with the link, so they actually would have to have the link, but again, pretty accessible for people outside the organization. Anyone at Damon, so this would apply not only to faculty, staff, but also students. Anyone at Damon with the link. This is where this becomes great when you are collaborating with other people across departments. Only if they have the link and a Damon account can they now access this. And of course, off, it's specific people. So I'm going to stick with off for right now. and I am going to type in Peter's name. And at the moment, he can edit. And I am going to prevent him from changing access. And I am also going to disable his options to print. Well, I certainly can add a message. I'm going to leave that off for now, and I'm going to hit send. Peter immediately populates in as an editor. If I need to change him to the owner, he's within the organization. So it's as very simple as clicking the drop down, make him the owner. It'll ask me if I'm sure, it'll give me those prompts and transfer ownership to Peter. Now Peter will get all of those advanced options to control the access. I've forfeited my rights to that. I can obviously change him to comment only, view only, or set an expiration date. The expiration, they'll give you a couple of very brief, basic options, a week or an entire month, or you can choose a custom date. In this case, let's just say, I don't know why, but well, because it's a horrible moment in America's history, December 7th. So Peter's a horrible person, that's why. No, I'm just kidding. That and what's really nice is it gives you the countdown, that's 65 days from now. And so that's set, save changes. Peter now has 65 days, but notice his editing rights immediately change to comment. I can tell by the icon there. He has comment only. He cannot keep editing rights and have a timer. As soon as I change him back to editor, it removes the timer rights. So that's something to keep in mind. Did you have a question? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no.
Okay. So, as far as your share settings, I would say at the end, just make sure you certainly save and go from there. You can keep this as specific people. And in this case, only Peter and I have access to this document. Once I change this to anyone at Damon with the link, maybe Peter does need to be the only editor, but something's gone on. We need to share this with a larger group of people. This is where just underneath that, where it says access, anyone at damon.edu with the link can view, edit, or comment. If I'm sharing it with a larger crowd, I probably only want view, maybe comment. I would imagine you wouldn't want everybody being able to edit.
So
Sure.
we had these listservs for our students for like the class of 2020, the class of 21, so it's PT-20 at damon.edu. Can I put that, if I want all 65 of my students to have access to that, can I put in that listserv address and they can get my document, or do I have to put their individual 65 email? No?
You should be able to take the link from this document as long as your share settings here are correct. And anyone, as long as they are in their Damon account, anyone at Damon with the link, if you put that link in that listserv, all 65 would now have access to it through that listserv. They would need to be logged into their Damon account.
Through an email. I mean, if I sent an email out with that link, so versus like I couldn't put it in to the specific people and put in the.
You could put in all 65 of their names.
Yeah.
Or you can change this to anyone with the link can, in this case, we'll say can view. Or you can change the rights to whatever you need. And now, yes, you can copy this link and put it in an email and send it out. If you have a group already set up in your email, and you can literally hyperlink this to whatever the name of the document would be. You can type that link in, hyperlink it, and they will have access as long as you're sending it to their Damon email address. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's make sure I hit on everything I wanted to hit on there. We actually went through our advanced settings. So that's good. Google Forms, there are some limitations. It basically boils down to anybody you share a Google form with is either an editor or they have view only. They will not be able to make comments. And by view only would simply be you can take the survey, you can take the quiz, something along those lines. They will not be able to make comments. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's see, we definitely spoke about this. And I'll hit on a few of these topics very quickly. In case I forgot to mention this, when you change ownership, you can only make somebody else an owner that is within the organization. So to your question earlier about working on something with somebody outside, yes, you can share it with somebody outside the organization to work on. You'll have a prompt to make sure that you want to, but you cannot transfer ownership to them. When I use my personal Gmail, if there's things I've developed in that I want to share with my work Gmail, I still get a similar prompt that I'm now sharing with an organization. Let's see, set a time limit, editor's option to share, control. The owner options that we spoke about, number 6 and 7, the preventing, this is definitely where you can control your distribution. And especially if you are sharing with 65 students, I would recommend disabling their rights for certain aspects of this. Now, transferring this to email, since maybe this is one of your main modes of communication. Using the Drive tool when you're crafting an email, okay, it will open a window to your drive or to your shared drive. And I'll demo this with a composed email here in a moment. You can search or select your drive, your shared drives, shared with me, recent, or directly upload files at this time. The nice thing about uploading files, I'll demonstrate, it will simultaneously attach it to your email, as well as uploading that file to your drive. So maybe there's something on your personal desktop that you actually have not put in your drive. If you choose this drive button, that drive symbol, insert using drive, whatever that attachment is, but it's on your desktop, you can go to upload and it'll simultaneously say, okay, well, now we'll put it in your drive and attach it to this email. After you make your selections, it's as very easy as clicking insert, and which is down here. Something to keep in mind as well, the items will be inserted in the inline text of wherever your cursor is. So I'm going to demo that now. If I compose an email to Peter, and I come down here to my drive function. Again, my options, as you can see, my drive, share with me, recent. I'm going to demo upload just so you can see this. If I choose upload, if I have the files to drag, terrific, great, but otherwise I'm going to select them from my device, and I'm going to share with Peter that I completed my sexual harassment training. That is my boss, he needs to have a copy of this. By clicking upload, you can see, obviously it's uploaded. Clicking that, it is uploading it to my drive, and it's also putting it in the email. And it went exactly where that cursor was. It'll be as an inline text. And at this point, it's as simple as hitting send. So that is a pretty easy way. We'll do one from my drive real quick. We'll say the same document that I've been playing with. Click. Notice again, it says drive link. I click insert, and it'll go in the email. And that is a Google Drive. Now, something to keep in mind, notice that this is a PDF and this is a a Google Drive document. Things that go in as attachments, when I click a Google Drive document, it will not even give me the option to put it as an attachment over here in the bottom right. It's going to be a drive link. Something that is a PDF, I can either insert as a drive link or attachment. Either way. As a drive link, it'll go in text. As an attachment, and I insert, and notice it is attached as you would expect any attachment. It's at the bottom, it's part of it, and by the way, I'm going to walk through that one more time very quickly. Remember how I uploaded my certificate that I completed my sexual harassment? When I uploaded it, there it is. It's the first thing. It's the most recent thing. So that's what I meant by the simultaneous. It'll put it in the email and upload it to your drive if you're going to use the upload function. And of course, at this point, we're just crafting emails and we're sending out emails and everything's there. You can, similar to searches you've done anywhere else, whether you're going through your folders to find things or you need to find a very specific document. I need something from Raquel. We'll just say Raquel for now. Anything that Raquel shared with me now has come up. I remembered that Raquel had shared these phishing notes with me. I simply grab that and attach it. So the search aspect of this, while using it with your email, is very nice as well. You don't have to remember the entire pathway. If you do, terrific, but the search function definitely works as well. Let's see. Oh, you know what? There was one more thing I wanted to demonstrate. When you're in your drive item, whether it is slides, docs, or whatever, another very easy way to share is to click that big blue button that says share, and then click the prompt that says get shareable link. And I'm going to demo this again as always, but notice how this icon went from not illuminated with any color, symbolizing that the link is off at the moment, to as soon as I click get a shareable link, it changes it to green. Green is good, right? Green go when we're driving. And it would also, if I hovered over it, instead of saying copy the link and turn link sharing on, it would say I can turn link sharing off. Right now that is a shareable link. I click this copy link, it's getting this whole thing for me, and I can paste it in the email or put it in your Blackboard as an example. So I will very quickly show that. I'm going to get my shareable link. It is copied to my clipboard. I'm going to come to my Blackboard page. In this case, I'm using Ultra. Create, link, I paste the URL in there. Of course, I want my students to see this. And if this was my syllabus, as an example, I can give it a description if I need to. I hit save. As soon as they see this on their Blackboard page and they click syllabus, it will take them. I know obviously this is the presentation I'm sharing with you, but in this case, if it was the document, it would take them to my syllabus. As we spoke about briefly yesterday, the beauty in this is I can keep just that one syllabus in one location on my drive. If I do make changes to the schedule or grade scale or anything along those lines, it's just automatically updated. I don't have to constantly re-upload files to my Blackboard page. I'm just changing it in the actual document, and those changes will automatically be there every time they click on the syllabus. Those changes that I make in my Drive document, right, would automatically be in my Blackboard class because I didn't upload a file. I copied and pasted a link to the doc.
That's likewise for the schedule of our workshops that we shared a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
We shared the link to a Google Doc. Now that schedule continues to grow, continues to change, rooms change. We added the Google Drive week after we sent out that document. But because we're making changes to the Google Doc and we've sent out a link to that Google Doc, every time it's clicked by a faculty member or a staff member, they're seeing the most up-to-date schedule. Every change we make, we don't have to send out another email that says, oh, here's the updated version. And now you have, 2 or 3 of the similar documents in your download and you're not sure what's the most current.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if I stepped
No, you're good. You're good. As Peter was saying, with the schedule, that's what's great. And that's actually a great little prelude to something we're going to talk about tomorrow. Noah's trying to have my hook to bring you back. You do not, as the person who's now received that fall workshop schedule, you don't necessarily know if we've made updates to that unless you're constantly accessing it. Tomorrow we'll be going over how you can set notifications to know when the document has been changed. So you could get an email, for example, notifying you that document actually was changed. It won't necessarily tell you what the changes were, but it'll say that it has been changed, and that sort of prompts you, oh, well, now I want to go take a look at it and see what those changes are. So a fall workshop schedule that maybe gets 3 more dates added to it, you can set, you on your end can set the notifications or not have any notifications at all to know what changes or when changes happen, when changes happen. So one of our final pieces today, let's have you get into your Damon account. And what you're going to do is pick whichever type of G Suite product, whether it be a doc, slide, form, or sheet that you'd like to create. And we're going to manipulate some of these editing rights while you're here with us. And you're going to share them with me and Peter under certain circumstances. I'll leave this up here for a little while. You're going to share whichever one you create and give editing rights to Peter. You're going to share with me as well and give me view-only rights with a 30-day time limit. And then you are also going to change the access to anyone at damon.edu with the link. Under your owner settings, prevent editors from changing access and adding new people. And we will be here in case we have any questions. Okay, would you like to make Drive one of your modules? Well, actually, it's right there.
Oh, okay. No, it's too busy, so I don't look at anything.
No, it's not. I actually find that sometimes this looking down. I always log in my email first.
And then I just go over there. That's what I usually.
Because no matter what, it's going to ask you to verify.
Oh, okay.
Unless you
I
never
know
log out on your.
how it is.
Yeah, unless you never log out on your own personal phones.
Oh.
So, yeah, I find this is probably the easiest because I have to give my email every day. Okay.
What's one?
So we can create either a doc, a slide, a sheet.
I never done that in Drive.
Okay. So we go to that new.
Oh. No, it's not.
You're okay.
That's fine.
That'll work.
Oh, it's from working on these things.
Not a problem. Now, if you do not give it a title in the upper left there, it'll automatically give your very first sentence. That sentence will become your title. Just click where it says untitled documents.
Oh.
And see how it put the very first sentence there. Okay.
So
All right.
now,
So now we're going to share this, right?
yes. So do I need to save it first?
No.
No.
It'll
So just go
automatically save.
right to share.
Mhm.
All right. So I want to
So
share.
now, because of all the parameters I put on it,
Right.
we probably need to click on advanced.
Oh. All right. So this is private.
Mhm.
I want to share it with Peter. I want to share it with you first.
You can share it with both of us at the same time,
Okay.
and then we'll change the rights afterwards.
So now. Because I'm the mom. That's really what I'm saying. All right. We're done with that.
Our final thing we'll take a look at today, I'm actually going to turn it over to Peter here for a moment and talk about Google File Stream. And this is something we'll get into a little bit more tomorrow. Synchronizing your files between the desktop or the drive of your actual laptop or desktop and your Google Drive itself. Some very just quick advantages of this. You can work offline in Microsoft Office. You don't necessarily need a connection as long as your drive is set up. You can work on these documents, and then it will synchronize with your drive once you get an internet connection again. And so it'll update things from your offline work to your online work. When you sync your files to your hard drive, the application treats this network drive as a live internet storage device. Anything copied to the G Drive file stream is automatically copied to the cloud, so drive, right? And then space on your hard drive is recovered. So you're actually not using up nearly as much space on your actual device. And there'll be more on this topic tomorrow. Peter will dive into this a little bit more though.
Depending on the permissions of your individual device, you may need to submit a help desk ticket to install Google File Stream because it requires an administrative password from our IT folks. Google File Stream is a great, it's a great addition to Google Drive. It allows you to continue to work out of Google Docs, Google Sheets, or to continue to use Microsoft Office products while still using the cloud for your storage. Do you have File Stream on here?
Yes.
Okay. And what I'm going to demonstrate real quick is if I open Word, and I go to open, well, let's just start. So if I go to File, Open, and I want to open a different document, if I browse my computer here, I'll see Google Files or Google Drive File Stream as one of my options. So it's right in my File Explorer. This probably looks very familiar. And if I click my drive, I'm going to see the exact same folder setup that I have in your Google Drive. So even though that is based on the platform in your web browser, you can still access the files through your file navigator. And I'm just going to go ahead. I don't want to, let's see.
You can grab issues in teaching and learning.
So this is a Word document that's stored in the cloud, and I might be sharing this in the cloud with other people already, but I can open it right in Word, and I can edit this, and as soon as I make changes to it, if I click Save, I'm going to find, I don't want to change your document on you.
Just go to the very end.
Yeah, I'm just going to add another. Delete this afterward. So if I click Save and I close and I go back into the drive, I'm going to hit refresh because usually it does take if you give a hard refresh, it'll show up. And that was issues in teaching and learning. I see that it's a Word doc, but if I open it, I should see that change that's made. So this is another way for you to, if you don't want to make the full transition to Google Docs and Google Sheets or even slides, you want to keep them in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, but you still want to use some of those sharing privileges with Drive or just being able to store them in the Drive so you can access them from any computer, because you know how frustrating it is that when you need to edit something and you're like, well, that's saved on that particular machine, or I don't have that particular flash drive. So using the cloud, you can still access all of these files and edit them in their native programs. And by that, I mean Word, PowerPoint, or Excel. But if I make changes in Word and I save it, anyone who I've shared it with will still see those changes immediately. So it doesn't require, if I change it in Word, I don't have to re-upload it to Drive each time. So that's one thing that File Stream, one advantage to File Stream, but we're gonna go over a lot more tomorrow as to how it can be implemented and impact not only your teaching, but your administrative duties as well.
And you said we have to request.
You may need to put in a help desk ticket. I can show you how it's very easy to download and install, but once you get to a certain point in the install process, if you've had the permissions on your machine changed as such so that it requires an IT tech to put in an admin password to install things, to install programs, they may need to come to your office to do that.
Coming to my office later this afternoon, would he be able to do that?
Yes, he could. If Charles Gibbs is coming to your office, say, hey, Charles, can you put FileStream on my computer? And he can do it in a couple of seconds.
Great.
But join us tomorrow for one of our sessions if you'd like. Eric, anything else before?
No,
No?
no.
Yeah.
Say maybe for the recording. I forgot to do this yesterday.
So is it in here tomorrow at 10 again?
Excellent.
It is in DS 135 tomorrow.
Oh, you're all over.
So we're,
the place.
We-
we get the room that is available.
What? Sounds like
Right.
searching,
Yeah.
right?
Classes are going.
135, you said?
DS 135.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice room. Yeah, it's really important, nice room. Cool. Well, thank you.
Thank you.